So yeah, like I was saying, like once you got that kind of wealth, once you got that kind of money, you can essentially solve. You could solve a lot of, you know, there's a lot of things that you could do with that kind of money to solve a lot of problems in a lot of places.
You can
know,
help a lot of other people.
you can
More
help a
people.
lot of people. Like for me, like having that kind of wealth, mate, I help so much people. I do so much shit. Like, you know, I would do. There'd be so much. Obviously, the first initial thing you do is make sure that your loved ones and, you know, like my wife and my kids and my family and our loved ones and everyone around us would be sorted out straight away. And then after that, it would be, you know what I mean, like looking after, you know, helping lots of other people. You know, that's it. When you got that kind of money, like you can never kind of spend that money in your lifetime. Like, you know, obviously that's like generational wealth. You can pass it down through like your kids and their kids, and yes, I understand that. But at the same time, you can still utilize some of that money. You know, you don't need to die with, you know, you don't need to be one of those people that dies, you know, worth like 200 billion. Like, you know, you could use 50 of that billion to do, you know, incredible, wonderful things. You know, it's, you know. But yeah.
I look at, like, we're all on a monopoly board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
We're all running around, and you pass go every week and get like wages. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
But we're all on this monopoly board, and some people actually might get on stage because, you know, they get a microphone and they get famous. You know what I mean? And they get a lot of money for it. Yeah. And some people might invent something and they get a lot of money for it, yeah. And some people might be a doctor, some people might be a policeman, whatever. You know, and there's lots of different, loads of different jobs out here, yeah. But it's like a monopoly board, alright. But you've got people above this,
Yeah.
right, that don't even touch it. They just look at everyone.
Mm.
Telling you, they don't touch the money.
Yeah.
We're paying bills here, all of us.
Yeah.
You know, every one of us. You know, we're the 99%. But there's somebody, some people up the top of it, right? Just,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, they could make gold into plastic if they want, you know, change it, you know, the whole system. We're not using gold anymore, we're going to use plastic. I mean, we're kind of doing that today.
Yeah.
We've got plastic cards.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all digital now, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
we don't even touch gold, if you know, some people don't.
Well, and it's going to come to the point too soon in the next, probably within, by 2030, by the year 2030, I probably believe by the year 2030 we might potentially be a cashless society.
Well, some people would argue that, you know. A lot of people would argue that.
You know,
but
it's looking like it. You know, a lot of these people from these big government corporations and stuff, that's what they're pushing for today. They're really, they're really trying to implement that. You know, they want to get rid of cash. You know, they just want to make it all completely digital, like it already, but it is almost completely digital today. It's all, like we always jokingly say, it's numbers on a screen. You know, so you know, yeah.
So even if you do get rich, you know, like for instance Michael Jackson, you know, he was sort of saying they don't care about us. Do you know what I mean? He was singing about them up there.
Yeah, the
powers
that be. Yeah.
You know, he had to sort of, like, I think anyone that's got a bank account, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we're just the public.
Yeah. Mm.
You know,
yeah.
and I think you've got the landlords, all right.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we're in a messed up world, you know, and I feel like that's why there's so much jealousy around, you know what I mean? And it's a shame. I think it's all down, again, you know, I speak about it again in other episodes, but down to education, basically.
Yeah. A lot of
down
it, yeah.
to having good parents.
Mm.
You know, if you're lucky enough to be born in this world and your parents are quite well off.
Yeah.
And they're both well educated too, if you see what I mean, you know, and then you're luckily born in the world, I think, you know, that you've got two parents that love you,
yeah.
and they're not spoiling you, and they're doing the right thing and educating you in every way.
Yeah.
How to be a person, be a human, and not get jealous. Love who you are. That's what's important, I think, you know. And I mean, even myself, I wasn't educated, you know, by my parents, all right, and that's simply because they weren't educated, you know, and it's probably because they were, you know, they weren't educated because their parents weren't educated. You know what I mean? It's like a, you know, they don't educate at schools. You know what I mean? These public schools are, they want you to learn maths, English, all very strict, all of it. PE strict.
Yeah.
You know, and not really play,
Mhm.
you know, or how to love yourself,
Yeah.
which is absolutely so number one, should be taught in the infancy, if you ask me that one, do you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
early days, you know,
Mm.
it's very important to love yourself.
Yeah.
You know, not love yourself like nobody else.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to learn to love other people too.
Yeah. Not to be egotistical
That's
or
right.
prideful, but you have to love yourself.
Exactly.
You have to be, you have to be happy with who you are, And if you're not happy about who you are, then you need to work on it. Simple as that. We all know deep down inside, we all know our flaws. Whether or not we like to admit them to ourselves or not is another thing. But we all know deep down inside what our flaws are and which areas of our lives we could improve.
I don't know mine.
Well, I think you do.
I don't know. I ain't
You
got
do.
any. No, I do.
Haven't got any. That's funny. Haven't got any. No flaws at all, mate.
Nice.
Yeah. Completely perfecto. Yeah. Yeah.
But jealousy.
But no, but I think
Jealousy I've mastered. You know,
Really?
I don't like getting jealous of anything. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, no one. Like you said, like I remember even being young. Like even when I was young, I was never like, I never wished for what other people had and stuff like that. I was just happy like I had, I was who I was and.
It's being grateful, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
just
being grateful.
That's it. Gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, appreciation.
Yeah.
Being grateful for your life.
That's it. And I've always been one of these people ever since I was young. I was always like, people used to say, well, what you're happy for, what you're grateful for, just for life, mate. We woke up again today and we got another chance to live and to live our life, to enjoy it and make the most of it, if you see what I mean,
I think, to be honest with you, I think that's the purpose of life, is to be happy with yourself. It's probably the purpose, I think there's lots of purposes to life.
Yeah, but that's one of them for sure.
Another purpose is to have a life.
Yeah.
Another purpose is to have a happy life.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
You're not going to have a happy life if you're jealous.
Yeah.
If you got that in you for an hour, it's going to spoil an hour of your day.
Yeah.
If you sort of mean, and I think it's just important to be happy and appreciate the moment. Be grateful that that you're being born and you're here alive to live a day, and tomorrow I've got another day, do you know what I mean? And that's really it, really, I think if you're grateful and you appreciate and you love who you are, what's there to be jealous of?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing to be jealous, I'm happy that I'm not somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
me too.
I mean, I'm not jealous of Boris Johnson, I'm glad I'm not him.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's one thing I've never understood, like I said earlier, I've always been happy to be myself, thankfully, even through any hardships, even through any obstacles in life, any hardships, any you've got to take the good with the bad, that's how life works, you've got to roll with the punches, as they say, so I've always been happy to be me, like you said, I've always been, like we were just saying, very grateful and thankful and appreciative of life, like the blessing of life. I realised at an early age, like the greatest blessing was life, everything else that's added to it is only, even more blessings, if you see what I mean, on top, if you see what I mean, it's even more icing on the cake, if you see what I mean. It's, you give thanks every day, life is quite good, and, it's, you've got a roof, if you've got a roof, like we say all the time, if you've got a roof over your head and you've got some money in your bank and you've got food in your cupboards and, you're able to provide and look after your family and do these things, life's not that bad. Life is, give thanks, you know what I mean? Just, there's a lot of people out there that have got in a much, much, much worse situation. And if you want to see anything like that, just go on YouTube, type in something on YouTube, you know what I mean? And there'll be plenty of people out there showing you, go around to these different places today, showing you kind of conditions that a lot of people are living in. And sometimes you won't be able to believe it, that in the year 2023, we're still, a lot of people are still living like that, and those people would love to be in your position. Not through jealousy, but through the fact that they're just in such hardships, they would love to be in better living conditions. if you see what I mean, or whatever the case may be. So just, you know, if you're in a place where, like I said, you know, some people complain about just going out, having to go to work every day and, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, coming home and whatever. There's people out there that would love to have your life, that would love the opportunity to go to work and earn a decent wage and be able to have a family and a nice, decent house and maybe a car for him and his family to move around and whatever else the case may be, you know what I mean, that you're going to try and achieve as you know, as a family, you know. There's if you know, if you understand what I'm saying, you know. So don't take what you have for granted, you know. Count your blessings, you know. Yeah, life is the greatest thing.
So it teaches you a lot of lessons, that's for sure, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think I do wish that I knew what I knew today when I was 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I think I could have probably saved my marriage a bit, you know, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, but life is what it is.
Yeah.
I've learned slowly when I did, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more in the future in a kind of way, you know. You know, and it's interesting, all these little subjects that we talk about, like jealousy,
Yeah.
hate, love, you know, and so on, whatever. You know, it's just interesting to talk about it because I don't think many people do talk about these subjects much. You know, maybe they do, but you know, I don't hear about it much. You know, and I think it's just interesting to get deep.
Yeah, for sure.
Into these words. I mean, jealousy, even the word. You know, I just try to break it down and wonder why the word become what it did. What it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Be interesting to see where that word kind of derives.
Jealous.
Where it kind of like derives from, you know. But that's another Google thing, you know. If you look up the etymology, you know, the etymology of the word jealous, you know, the word jealous, it would be able to tell you, you know. But I think there's so many people out there today, mate, that are living with so much hatred and so much bitterness and so much envy and jealousy in them, mate, that it's just poisoning them, you know what I mean? It's literally becomes a poison to them, you know, where they don't even think rationally, they don't think clearly.
If they just woke up tomorrow and started appreciating themselves and appreciating life and appreciating the moment, they'd snap out of it and realise how beautiful life is. If you see what I mean, but it's like magic, really. It's just your attitude.
Exactly.
It's all to do with your attitude in life, you know. And
I think they'd also realise as well that the world doesn't owe you anything. No one, the world, and no one owes you anything in this world. If you see what I mean. And that is just a reality. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, you know, because it's, you know, just being brutally honest. You know, like they say, the truth is the hardest pill to swallow sometimes. But the world doesn't owe anyone anything. It's up to each and every one of us to, whatever we want, we have to try to get it. We have to do what we need to do, or try our best to try to get to that point through education or whatever the case may be, depending on whatever it is you want to do, of course. But it's up to you. You know, you can't be just out here, you know, hating on other people and, you know, focusing on other people's lives and you know, being distracted by what they've got going on. You know, focus on what you've got going on, and, you know, pay attention to that. If you see what I mean, you know, that's the only way you're ever going to have any kind of success or anything like that in life. You know, stop worrying about other people's lives and what they've got going on, and, you know, so all that time that you're wasting investing in other people and what they've got going on in their business, you could spend that time working on what you want to do. If you see what I mean, you know, stop spending 2 or 3 hours a day on social media. You know what I mean? If you need to use social media, use it as a tool to promote what you've got going on, and then get off of it again. If you see what I mean, you know, you can use these things in a smart way for promotional reasons and other, you know, especially if you've got businesses or you're an artist or you've got podcasts like we have or whatever else the case may be. You know, it's useful, of course.
I love learning. I love using it to learn.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, it's very useful to learn even about jealousy. You know.
Right.
You can Google it and find out.
Yeah.
You You know, and that's what I find very, very useful in life. You know, just having the internet at the power of my fingertips, so I can become a bit wiser in life myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's sort of like understanding philosophy, understanding yourself. And as I say, I think like once you do start loving yourself and feeling beautiful about yourself, that's when life will start becoming beautiful.
Yeah.
But if you start getting jealous for any reason, right, it's like a dagger.
Yeah.
It's digging into you and digging into you and digging into yourself. I mean, you're not loving yourself, are you? You know, you're being jealous of something else or wishing whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so you're getting a bit confused, if you ask me. You know, and you need to sort of like start getting the attitude of just focusing on yourself. You
That's
know,
it. Yeah.
and feeding yourself, looking after yourself, enjoying yourself, alright?
Yeah.
Then that's when people start getting jealous of you, if you ask me, do you know what I mean?
Because they're going to start to see your growth.
Yeah, you know,
as a
you're
human being.
growing and you're growing on your own, you're being independent, you're not being jealous of anyone else, if you sort of mean.
Yeah.
And you're starting to enjoy yourself.
And the fruits of your labour.
You know, I mean, I know this because I've not always enjoyed being myself. You know, when I went through my divorce, I thought maybe it was my fault, do you know what I mean? And I was kicking myself about it and blaming myself, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I went through a number of years of pain.
Yeah.
You know, it's very horrible losing my family, do you know what I mean? It's very painful for any person to go through, you know. And, you know, I mean, I learned a lot, really, about life, really, when that happened to me, you know, because it gave me a big kick in a kind of way, you know. A big, big kick, you know. And even sort of like the first few years when I was staying on a beautiful boat in Canary Wharf, quite a few miles away from my ex-wife, I knew she had a boyfriend there.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't know whether it's jealousy or anger or what, you know, but there's some emotional feelings, that's for sure, that went through me, you know, because I've got 2 children there and I've got another bloke talking to my children all the time, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know whether they're swearing or what they're doing.
Exactly.
Because they're not there.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, I don't know what, you know, I went through a lot, do you know what I mean? It tore my brain into two almost, do you know what I mean? So it's why I can be as strong as I can today, because I've been through so much, to be honest with you, do you know what I mean? You can only, you know, understand things, I think, if you've been through a lot. You know, there's grievance I went through, you know, it was very, very torturing for me.
Yeah.
I can promise you. You know, but now I'm over it. I'm kind of glad that I've gone through it, because it's, you know, like a big blessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you know, I felt like I was pushed into the grave. Okay, honestly, and I was in a coffin for a number of years, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, I'm glad I'm out of it today. You with me?
Yeah.
You know, and I live to tell and share the, you know, my stories today.
Yeah.
If you sort of mean, rather than, you know, because you know, almost sometimes when you're suffering about something, you know, something that you love so much, and you just lost that. When you're suffering so much, day after day, it's hard to want to live anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard to smile anymore, do you know what I mean? And it's, you know, you got to put on a smile sometimes, you know, because you're so upset about what's happened to you.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, you know, it will get you stronger and stronger, do you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
slowly in time, I've gone through it. I've gone through the fire.
Yeah.
I call it.
Yeah.
You know.
Baptism of fire.
It was literally going through fire, you know,
Yeah.
losing a family that I really loved, you know what I mean?
But anytime anyone feels like they've lost everything, mate, that is a lot to deal with, a lot to cope with, and a lot to
I was very close to my children.
and a lot to comprehend for a lot of people, you know. It can, like you said, it can completely destroy some people.
Well, it almost killed me, do you know what I mean? It almost killed me, but what don't kill you will make you stronger.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And so I'm glad that, you know, it's like going through hell in a kind of way, you know, losing your family, and your family going against you in a kind of way, you know, your wife, and you still got to love her. It's a very complicated situation, you know, and very confusing, you know, when your wife suddenly meets somebody else, do you know what I mean? But it's, you know, I feel a lot happier today,
Yeah.
You know, because it's, you know, it is a number of years that happened.
Mm.
You know, and I found happiness within myself a bit. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
more content,
Mm.
and this is what's more important. You know, really important. Really, that you don't. Jealousy just kills you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So does hatred. Really,
Yeah.
you know. So does worrying.
Yeah,
All
true.
these things, you know.
Yeah, all that bitterness and stuff make people sick.
It just
Can even make them physically sick.
That's right. It did me. I lost weight. You know, I lost weight.
It can affect their, affect their physical health. You know.
You don't feel like eating and things, you know, and drinking properly. You know, you just lose focus a bit. Do you know what I mean? And you don't really love yourself anymore or anything because you're just confused. You know, I'm lucky that I got through it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I bumped into a guy and I told him my story. You know, I met him on a removal that I was doing. I met you on a removal, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I met this guy on a removal, told him my story, and my ex-wife just took the keys off the ring and met someone else, and he said, "There's my boat boat in Canary Wharf," you know. And I thought, wow.
Yeah, fantastic.
You know, and I lived there a year and a quarter, you know, and it saved my life. Do you know what I mean? Because even I lived there, and it was a lovely, beautiful life there, you know, and lots of beautiful people around me, whatever, and fun people. But at the end of the day, I just lost my family, and I was sort of hiding away from everyone, you know, if I could.
Yeah.
You know, and just, you know, but they did pick me out of it. Do you know what I mean? They did. It was a marriage therapy, basically, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad I'm over it, you know, and I think like sometimes people need to go through a tough time to understand life.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah.
You know? I understand life a lot more, let's put it that way, you know, and I understand marriage a lot more than I did, you know, and I really didn't when I did. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realise it was so, I don't know, do you know what I mean? Like, such a commitment in a kind of way, you know. You know, I think like if I didn't get married, she wouldn't be able to get rid of me at all, you know, do you know what I mean? It was just like a weapon in a funny way, you know, it went against me, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, so don't think getting married is going to go for you, because it doesn't necessarily, you know, it could go against you.
Yeah.
And you could lose your whole family.